Right, folks, this is a new podcast from the Two Mics, and I'm going to give you old Energy Boy, MG, to introduce it.
Yeah, we've edited out all the nonsense from Mike Porky Perry, so it might be a bit shorter than usual.
Ha, 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 ha.
And we are the Two Mics, and of course it's time to say a very, very good morning to Mr. Mike Porky Perry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Perry.
A very good morning to you, Mike.
What's wrong?
No,
What's wrong?
No, nothing's wrong.
You're already looking as if you've got some kind of problem.
No, I haven't got a sort of problem. I was just going to say it is absolutely smashing to be here with you
droll.
this evening.
How droll.
Okay? And I want to let our listeners know we're going to have a smashing show.
Yes.
And the relevance of me using the word smashing will come to light, I would say, within 10 minutes of the show starting. You are in for a spectacular, listeners, believe me.
Since you've chosen to begin the conversation about this smashing time that you're going to have, let me explain to everybody who doesn't know what we're talking about. We will be very shortly putting out on Twitter a link to a video that will be on Two Mics TV on YouTube, in which Mike Porky Perry, who's been practicing all day pulling a tablecloth away from some crockery that he brought in by himself, is delighted because he's finally been able to beat me at something, and we will put the video out.
Beat you?
Yeah, you finally
it wasn't
beat
just
me at something.
A beating. It was a gross humiliation. But more of that later. We've got to talk about Valentine's Day.
We'll talk about it later. Yes,
absolutely. Valentine's Day.
Big day for me, Valentine's Day. What about you?
Why is it a big day for you?
Well, because it's a day that I'm able to show my affection, my love for the people around me. You know.
And are you going to?
Of course.
No, I don't believe this.
What do you mean? Bottles of champagne, flowers, all that kind of thing.
No, you're not romantic like that.
I'm very romantic.
That's rubbish. What have you got planned?
Why do you think I'm so successful with women?
Well, you're very successful with women,
I
you?
am.
Oh, yeah. They keep leaving you and you keep having to give them houses.
No, they don't keep leaving me.
Massive payouts.
No, they don't keep leaving me.
You keep abandoning them all over the world.
No, you've got that completely wrong.
You successful with women? That's a joke. That is like, honestly, that is like...
Well, let's say in comparison to you, then, I'm successful with women.
No, I've been very successful with women. What's the most romantic thing you've done on Valentine's Day?
The most romantic thing I've done on Valentine's Day? Probably take two different women out.
Oh, well, that was very romantic for each of the women concerned.
Say one for lunch and one for dinner.
Yeah, well, that's very romantic, isn't it? A cheating, thieving,
not at all.
despicable act.
I thought it was very romantic.
In which you tried to belittle two women on the same day.
I thought it was very romantic.
Absolutely disgraceful, honestly. That just sums it all up. Your attitude to women is that they're chattels for your use.
Not at all, no.
You don't have any sort of... Ask me, go on, what's the most romantic thing I ever did?
What was the most romantic thing you ever did on Valentine's Day?
I put a love notice in the Times. What are you laughing at?
Why?
Because I felt it was right.
You put a love notice in the Times?
I did.
And what did it say?
I can't tell you that because it was intimate.
What do you mean intimate?
Well, it referred to...
Well, it couldn't have been rude, otherwise they wouldn't have published it.
Well, actually, they did say it referred to the lingerie this lady wore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it did,
Well, you give us a clue then.
Yeah, it referred
Was this one of those secretaries that you were...
Well, the reason
reason
I had to make it a
she was married, I presume.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
And so
that's nice.
So I couldn't send her a card.
More lessons on high moral standing from Porky Perry.
I mean, it was
the man who tries to break up marriages.
No, not at all. Improve marriages. Oh, yeah. Gives them an outlet, doesn't it, for their frustrations? If
you might call it that.
Seeing me. No, the thing is, I couldn't send a card to the home address because obviously there's a husband at home.
Would see it.
I couldn't send...
How despicable is that?
Hang on.
That's disgraceful.
Hang on. I couldn't send her flowers at home because, again, the husband will know her. I couldn't send her a big bunch of flowers to work because people would say, oh, is that from your husband?
Yeah.
And she'd have to say... you know what I mean?
Well, especially if she got them from her husband as well. Then there'd be two lots.
Yeah, I don't think she did. Or she might have done. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, could have. I never thought about him doing anything because he's a bit of a deadbeat.
You didn't give him any thought at all.
And so I put this notice in the Times, and I have to say, it was a heart melter. I mean, nothing so romantic had ever happened to her.
Really?
Particularly as it was at the Times.
How did you get her to make sure that she saw it, though? Because
presumably... I told her it was there.
You told her it was there?
Of course I did.
Well, you didn't just let her come across it by chance.
Well, most women that I know, most women I've associated with during my life, don't, wake up and say, oh, I must have a read of every page of the Times this morning.
Most women you've associated with can't read, can they?
I'm not responding to that. I mean, the point is, I could easily put it in the Sun or the Mirror or something like that. You know what I mean?
Style.
But I didn't. I put it in the Times because that was an indication to me of the lady's worth.
Because you're a snob.
Of her class.
Because you're a snob.
Of her pedigree. Yeah. Of her upstanding. The fact she was married to the wrong bloke wasn't my fault, but I was trying to help her out and elevate her position in life.
Is she still married to him?
Well, I'm not. How would I know? But I assume so.
You're no longer in touch with her then?
No. But I assume so, and I hope she's having a happy and very fulfilling life.
Well, I'm sure you very much helped her along with that. Yes. You tried to break up her union for life.
I didn't at all.
So what did it say? Tell us what it said. Was it a rhyme?
No,
was it in verse?
No. It just referred to the fact that I thought she was a beautiful woman, particularly when I saw her in lingerie. You see what I mean? What are you laughing at?
Because that's not at all romantic.
Why not?
It's disgusting.
No, it's not. It's not.
No, it's horrible.
No, it's not. Don't be silly. You're trying to interpret it as a sort of sex-maniacal type way, but it wasn't.
You're basically saying to this woman, I love you so much, especially when you're in your underwear.
Well,
I mean, was it any more romantic than that?
It was. I mean, what it really said was, you look lovely in everything, but, you look particularly lovely in lingerie, or something like that, you know what I mean? Something, but it pressed all the right buttons, pulled all the right levers. Did it? Got the right result, honestly. No
but you wouldn't have seen her, presumably, on Valentine's Day either, did you? Because that's the problem when you're holding somebody.
No, I think took her out for dinner.
Oh, did you?
I think so, yeah.
Well, when did she tell her husband she was then? On Valentine's night?
I've no idea, but I mean, he worked away sometimes. Anyway, in fact, you won't believe this.
This wasn't the guy who was the fisherman.
No, it wasn't a fisherman, no. That chap, right, I've actually spoken to him on air as a caller on Talk Sport.
What, the woman's husband?
Yeah.
That's disgraceful.
Yeah.
And does he have any idea?
No. Well,
that's shocking.
Well, not to my knowledge.
That is absolutely shocking.
Not to my knowledge. And,
you are, in many ways, the lowest of the low. I mean, you accuse me of having no moral compass.
No.
That's appalling.
No, don't get me wrong. I wasn't seeing the lady at the time. It's a couple of years later.
Well, nevertheless.
But it transpired. Somebody told me later, do you know who that caller was? I said, no. And they told me, I said, because the person who told me was a mutual friend of myself and the lady.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Who knew about it? So loads of other people knew that this was going on.
Almost everybody knew, except for
the poor old guy himself.
Yeah, I have to say,
what a shambolic way to operate. That's appalling.
It was a little.
Did you not feel in any way guilty at all?
Not really, because I was improving her life.
Right.
Her life was dull and grey until I came along, and then it became exciting and multicoloured.
Yeah.
In fact, I would say I turned her life from a telescope into a kaleidoscope.
Oh yeah.
Because the telescope was long and narrow, and sort of focused on very few things.
Is this not the woman you then later dumped when you got promoted?
No.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure.
Oh, really?
Don't know what someone else talking about, actually.
Oh,
yeah, somebody else.
Are you denying that you did that?
I'm denying I did that, yeah,
You're denying that you dumped somebody because on the grounds that they weren't high enough in the pecking order of the office in which you worked.
Oh, no, I never did that.
You said you couldn't take it to any office party.
Well, there was an element to that, but that wasn't this lady at all.
Oh, there was somebody else.
This lady at all. But anyway, look, we shouldn't be talking about that. We should talk about romance and people having a lovely day and all that kind of stuff.
Well, what are you going to do for Valentine's Day, then?
I'm opening a pub.
I thought that was today.
It is today.
Well, today's Friday the 13th.
Oh, is it? Right, OK. So, of course, it's Friday the 13th. So tomorrow's the 14th.
Yeah.
Well, I won't actually be getting involved because I don't currently have a paramour whom I have to... spend emotional time with, if you see what I mean.
Right.
Okay?
Or any sort of time.
Yeah. But, that things will change, again, as they always do. So what are you doing then? Go on, you tell me.
Well, I'll be in the bosom of my home, of course.
Right,
and, I'll probably make my other half breakfast in bed.
With the mother of your children, yeah.
Yeah, and I'll present her with 12 red roses.
Is that right? Is that your plan?
And we'll have a bottle of champagne, and it'll be very nice. Very romantic.
And you're planning all this. And do you expect a good response?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean,
what would you call a good response?
Well, will she appreciate the effort and the time you're putting in, or dismiss you as, I see, the annual sort of payback for all your disgraceful behaviour on the other 364 days of the year?
I don't think that'll be her reaction.
Oh, I think it will.
Because my behaviour isn't disgraceful anymore.
Well,
I'm a reformed character.
It's been a little better, I have to say, over the last 12 months, but still,
it has been a lot better.
Still a lot of questions to answer.
No,
I really think, given
the story you've just told us, you are certainly not, by any stretch of the imagination, in a position to give me any kind of moral guidance. Thank you very much indeed.
Well, if I don't give you moral guidance, who will?
Yeah, well, I don't need any, thanks very much indeed. Anyway, let me just read this out. This is from Manuel, who says, I'm assuming that Porky's verse was something like this. Roses are red, violets are blue, I'm Mike Porky Parry, and I'm horny for you. This is Talk Sport.
That's disgraceful.
We'll be back next. This is Talk Sport Extra Time. I'm Mike Graham. He's Mike Parry, and you'll have recognised that piece of music, of course, won't you? I'm not sure if it's one that you would know, to be honest.
Is it from some great melodrama?
No, it's a song by the Smashing Pumpkins.
Smashing Pumpkins?
Yeah. Have you heard of them?
No.
No. They were sort of grunge band.
Oh, really?
Like
and what's the relevance of playing that?
Well, because you were talking about smashing things up. And I thought you were going to explain what we were doing smashing things up.
And what was the title of this song again?
I can't remember what the title of it was. So Tonight.
And who's it by? The Smashing Pumpkins?
The Smashing Pumpkins.
I thought it was going to be Steve Strange, you see, because you told me Steve Strange died.
Yes, he did.
Which is very sad.
It is very sad.
What was he? New Romance, was he?
Well, he was the guy that kind of launched the whole New Romantic period.
Oh, I see, okay,
You know, Fade to Grey is his song.
We'll
play that a bit later on.
Okay, that's great. Now, listen, mate, the smashing thing, right? Yeah. I've got to tell the listeners this, because I'm so thrilled by this.
I have just tweeted out, by the way, for anyone who wants to check it out, the video of this challenge that was issued to me a little bit earlier tonight by Mr. Parry. It's called the Gordon Bennett Challenge,
that's right.
And you'll explain why.
I will now explain why. Yeah. Now, I came across a book, right? It's called The Kingdom of Ice.
Yeah.
And you and I have a fascination for New York because we lived there and we like all things American. And the reason why I read this book was I'd read a review of it. And what it was about a North Pole expedition in the days when it was very, very dangerous, you know, nearly part of the 20th century, 1912 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was funded by a guy called Gordon Bennett.
Right.
Now, we all know
the phrase
the name,
of Gordon Bennett.
Gordon Bennett, what's all that about? So obviously this is fascinating. So you go into it and think, who is Gordon Bennett? Well, Gordon Bennett, Mike, actually was a newspaper publisher in New York, and he ran the New York Herald.
Yeah.
Now, obviously that wasn't around in our day. It'd been surpassed by the New York Daily News, the New York Post, and the New York Times, but it was the paper of the day. And it was around in 1871 when they got it going. Now, Gordon Bennett was the proprietor, right? And he was a fantastic man. Gordon Bennett funded the expedition which put Dr. Livingstone and Stanley together over Niagara Falls.
Oh, really?
He funded it, yeah, because he was a newspaper...
Niagara Falls? Were they not in Africa?
Africa, yeah.
What were they doing in Niagara Falls?
Sorry, Victoria Falls.
Victoria Falls. Malawi, I think they were.
Malawi, Victoria Falls.
Did they ever go to Niagara Falls?
No. It's Victoria Falls. Don't be pedantic,
well,
okay?
you said the wrong thing.
Don't be pedantic. I'm trying to tell the story. Right, so this guy was one of those old-fashioned newspaper proprietors who thought...
Colourful character.
Yeah, we can make the news, because, of course, he sent a reporter over to Africa to do that story. He sent a reporter on this boat called the USS Jeanette, which was going to forge a Northwest Passage via the North Pole, OK? Of course, it got stuck in the ice and all that kind of stuff. But the relevance to all this is that Gordon Bennett's party trick, when he took out very important people to all the best restaurants in New York, was to stand up and say, "You will never forget Gordon Bennett."
Yeah.
And then he'd pick up the tablecloth and he would whip it off the table at, 0.1 of a second, leaving all the condiments, the plates, the glasses, the wine and everything still on the table.
Which is a trick that we've seen many people do since.
Well, yes, we have, but we didn't know where it came from. We didn't know where it came from.
To be honest, I assumed that Gordon Bennett was not an American, because it's one of those English phrases that people say, Gordon Bennett.
He was probably a Scottish ancestry or
I've
something
never heard
like
anyone in America say Gordon Bennett in that way, have you?
Anyway,
Sorry to interrupt you.
Sorry?
Have you ever heard anyone in America use Gordon Bennett as an exclamation?
No.
No, neither have I.
But I've never heard anybody in this country, except seeing it on films and things.
Oh, yeah, no, I've heard people say it.
Have you?
Absolutely.
Gordon Bennett.
It's very kind of a London thing, actually.
Anyway, in the leaf to this book, it says, Gordon Bennett was flamboyant, fickle and extremely irritating. The explanation of surprise Gordon Bennett derives from his infuriating habit of whisking the tablecloths from underneath the noses of diners in New York restaurants. But he knew how to make headlines, and financing an expedition to reach the North Pole via the Bering Strait, complete with onboard reporter for his Herald, was the sort of thing that he used to finance. And so he was a fantastic character. So
you decided, in your wisdom,
I did,
that you could show me up in some way. So you thought, here's a good idea, because you're no good at most of the things that I'm good at. So what you thought
I'm not going to comment on that.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, you said, right, what I'll do is I'll bring in this apparatus, for want of a better word, plates, glasses, cutlery, all sorts of stuff, tablecloth, and we did this experiment downstairs.
We did.
Just before the show, and it is out there on YouTube.
Yeah.
Look for Two Mics TV. We've just tweeted it as well, at the Two Mics.
That's
and,
right.
You did it actually not bad at all,
Well, hang on, I don't want you to tell the listeners what the outcome of it was. I think they should see for themselves.
Yeah.
Because unlike what you're going to try and do to me in the quiz, the Abba quiz later on in this programme, I in no way tried to gerrymander. I didn't.
Well, except you've been practising all day.
Obviously. No, rubbish.
You must have been.
No, I didn't put heavier plates on for you. I didn't put fuller glasses of wine on for you. I didn't try and sabotage your attempt. It was a straightforward competition, and the listeners can be the judges of how it worked out.
Well, all I can say is it's very obvious to
anybody
who's watched it, who will watch it throughout the course of this show and over the course of the weekend.
Yes,
that you've obviously been practising at it.
No, I swear to you, it's the first time I've done it. By the way, let me tell you this. I mentioned to you a shop called Wilkinson's a few weeks back, maybe a month or so
which I'd never heard of.
Now, you and your ignorance, because, of course, you never go into the high street. You buy all your organic food from Borough Market. You go home and...
Well, there's no such thing as a high street where I live. In a high street in Sussex where I live, there isn't one there.
Yeah, OK. Well, anyway...
I've never seen one of these shops.
So I go to this town, so I go to Wilkinson's. I think, right, we're going to do this tonight, so I need some cutlery. No, I need some crockery.
Crockery, yeah.
So I go in...
What about all the crockery you've got? You said your mum's bought you about an 8-piece dinner set of crockery. Why don't you bring some of that in?
No, it's a 60-piece.
60-piece
set of
you should have brought some of that in.
Well, that's very expensive. It's called Denby.
Yeah, but you never use it, though.
It's called Denby, and it costs about £12.50 a plate.
Yeah, but you don't use it.
Do you know what the casserole dish costs for a Denby collection?
No idea.
Over £65.
When was the last time you used it?
Last weekend for a chicken casserole.
Chicken casserole?
Yes, OK, you got that? Yeah? Is that your answer?
I don't believe you.
See? Trying to make me look like a fish finger merchant.
How'd you make a chicken casserole, then?
Sorry?
How'd you make it?
You put the chicken fillets. What are you laughing at? What are you laughing at?
Go on, carry on. What else?
You put them in.
So chicken breast fillet casserole, was it?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
It's not really a chicken casserole, then, is it?
Yeah, it is. Of course
it is.
Any
bones in it?
Of course it's got any bones. No, it doesn't have any bones in it. I like
that's
bones.
Where you get the flavour from.
Bones break your teeth. No, I don't put bones in. So I put
that's where you get the flavour from.
No, rubbish. So I put the breast fillet in. Then I go to Sainsbury's and I buy a bag.
Right, so you put the breast fillet in the casserole, then you go out of the house?
No, you idiot. No. I've already been to Sainsbury's.
Oh, OK.
And
I some kind of time traveller?
Yeah. I buy a bag.
We've got a time traveller coming on, you know.
We have, actually. I buy a bag of what's called winter vegetable...
Mush.
No, winter vegetable potpourri type thing, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's all chopped up carrots and swede and all that.
Excellent. It smells nice.
It does, it's lovely. It's lovely. And I put all that in. Then I put a load of basil in. Loads and loads of basil. Thyme.
I
do. I put the thyme in, seriously.
Right.
And Oregon, is it? Is it called Oregon?
Oregon, yeah.
Oregon.
Octagon.
Yeah, something like
oregano.
That. Oregano, that's right, oregano. Put that in. And then...
Oregon's a state.
Hey?
Oregon's a state.
Yeah, OK.
In the Western United States.
And then, you know, one of those chefs advertises the chicken stuff in the little plastic container.
The stock, the jelly sort of stock.
And he says at the end...
Marco Pierre White.
Marco Pierre White. And he says at the end, I think it's a very good advert, he says, and so your meals could be as good as mine. Almost. And I think that's very good. Yeah. And I put one of those in.
It doesn't sound anything like that.
Put the boiling kettle in with water and all that kind of stuff.
Put the kettle in?
Don't put the kettle in. I put the water out of the kettle in, you stupid
I should, by
fool.
the way, point out that you did, in preparation for this ridiculous video that we made earlier on, which, you know, to me does not prove anything at all, you did ask for somebody to provide you with a plastic kettle.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yesterday, you asked our man Ross to provide you with a plastic kettle.
It was irrelevant.
I've never seen anyone looking so baffled in my life.
Hang on, I'm
trying to know where to get one.
I'm trying to get to the end of this story. So I put all that in because you asked me about the chicken casserole. Yeah. That goes in the oven for 2 hours, slow burn. I have a bottle of red wine while it's cooking.
Of course.
And then a bottle of white wine.
You should put a bit of wine in it as well.
Yeah, I do put a bit of wine in. That's why I've got a bottle of red wine in the kitchen. And I'll tell you about kitchens later. I've got a new theory on kitchens.
All right.
But anyway,
we've still got the washing machine in the middle of it.
Yeah, well, that's been sorted. And then the white wine. Now, the reason we're talking about cutlery, crockery, call it what you want, I go to Wilkinson's, the shop that you don't think exists, and I buy a 12-piece set of crockery for this experiment we've just conducted for £5.
Oh, it's amazing, isn't it?
A box.
It's a bit like that stuff you used to get, presumably, in the Greek restaurants. You throw it all in the fire.
Well, it might be, but it looked all right to me. You saw it on the table tonight. It looked fine.
Well, I bought quite a bit of it smashed now, unfortunately.
It is, yeah. I bought 4 champagne flutes at £1.50 each.
They're a bit ugly, though. You wouldn't want those in your house, would
you? You know, you're a bit of a snob in that way. I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
I drink my champagne from crystal flutes.
Well, I've got crystal flutes at home, I have to admit. And that's the thing. Now, I assumed that we'd have a lot more damage than we actually did have, because I didn't damage anything. That's not giving a clue to the listeners.
Well, it is a bit, isn't it? You're so proud of this, aren't you?
Hang on.
You're so proud of this.
So we didn't need to use the second set. So I bought 2 sets of crockery, £5 each. Fantastic value in my view.
Maybe you give it to the bums down in Gosport.
What are you calling our
producer?
Down and outs. What are you calling our producer a bum for?
I gave it to him. You gave it to him?
Yeah,
that was very good of you.
A young man, you know, making his way in life and all that.
So he's got to carry all that home on the tube, is he?
No, we've allowed him to take a car home tonight because he's also taking a huge consignment of beer home for some unknown reason.
Oh, is he?
But it's up to him, you know.
That's not some of your old stuff from the house, is it?
Drops it to a link. No, not at all, no.
You sure?
But anyway, look, the point of the story is we would like to entertain our listeners by telling them they can click onto this video. And how do they do that again, Mike?
Well, if they look at the Two Mikes Twitter or at Mike Graham's, it's IROMG, it's out there. You can retweet it as well if you want.
I'm going to retweet it right now when I find it. And I hope they have a bit of happy viewing. And meanwhile, we'll get back to talking about serious issues which affect the world, which you and I can dwell upon, OK?
Yes, indeed, absolutely. Before we talk to the time traveller, Simon in Sheffield says, I'm an HGV driver for Wilkinson's. I'm currently on my way to the Coventry store right now.
Excellent. Well done, my friend. And I tell you what, I went in that store. It's a great service. It's taken the place of, like, Woolworths.
Has it?
Used to be, Woolworths used to be the place you'd go for all that sort of stuff.
I'm
telling you.
Can't wait to go there.
I'm going back there. I'm going back there to get more stuff.
Yeah,
it's great value for money.
It's just your style. Yeah. Right up your street.
Yeah.
This is Talk Sport. This is TalkSport Extra Time. We are the Two Mikes. Go and check the Twitter feed at the Two Mikes, at Mike Parrier and at IROMG, and you will find the Gordon Bennett challenge there on YouTube on Two Mikes TV, and you'll see for yourself whether you think Mr. Parry practised or not. Quite a few people seem to think that actually, there's no way that's your first attempt.
No, I'm telling you.
What are you doing with your fingers?
I'm sorry, I've got arthritis in my thumb.
Condition.
Yeah, but I've brought my cure in. Don't worry, I've got it with me. I'll tell you about it later.
Right. Now, only you could find a link to Coronation Street and Valentine's Day. Well, you seem to have found one.
Well, it's not just Valentine's Day. This proves the whole theorem of my life is not as warped as you think it is, right?
Well, I've never said it's warped.
Yes, you have.
Said you're selfish.
Yes, you have. I told you years ago that I abandoned a girlfriend because it was a choice of either pursuing a lifetime with her, or...
Was this the same one you put the advert in the Times for?
No.
This was somebody else.
Oh, yeah, this is a single lady. This is way before that. Or
not when you were a teenager.
No, not as a teenager. My career was.
Well, who was this one? You never told us about this one.
Yeah, this is a lady called Elise, actually.
Elise?
Yes, this was in.
You don't have to give any names.
No, well, it was years
ago. Still alive?
Well, I don't know. I haven't spoken to her for about 30 years or 35 years. But she had a fantastic job because I was a young reporter on the Daily Express in Manchester, right? And I was, the man about town. Got paid very well in those days for working on national newspapers.
Did you have the Vauxhall Viva still?
No, Ford Cortina.
Oh, great.
Company car, Company Cortina. And, you were, sort
of...
a
love affair with Elisa in the back of my Cortina.
No, it wasn't smutty or anything like that.
You don't know that's just words from a song, do you?
Oh, no, I didn't know that. And this was when I bought my first house, the old two-bedroom semi and all that, so I had my own sort of love palace, you know what I mean?
Pathetic,
and all this kind of stuff. No.
Pathetic sort of bourgeois snobbery.
No.
Completely and utterly promulgated your life.
And, I could afford decent clothes and all kind of stuff. I used to meet important people. I was constantly on the streets of Belfast dodging the petrol bombs, so I was regarded as a bit of a sort of hero, by
really?
the local
I've
people
never met anyone that's regarded you as a bit of a hero.
That's a bit harsh. And anyway, so I got the offer then to move to London with the Express, which is a massive promotion, considering I'd only been there.
And where was she, this woman? She worked in the office?
She worked for the Greater Manchester Police.
Oh, yeah.
And she was a police photographer.
Oh, yeah.
And she used to go
around... Was
she
one of your sources, then?
Well, yes, she was a source.
Using her for information.
I was certainly using her for information. Yeah, but that wasn't the main... I had a deep affection for her, and she had an interesting job. She used to tell me of all the bodies she had to photograph and all that kind of stuff, and all that. But anyway, the point of the story is, it was either pursue life with her, because she wasn't going to move to London because she had a job at the Greater Police, or I move on. And I moved on, and that was it. Now, the reason we're talking about this, and Manchester is very relevant to this story, is a young lady called Georgia May Foote, who is a beautiful young lady and an actress.
I've seen a picture of her,
Seen a picture of her, an actress in Coronation Street, and she's only been in about a couple of years or something. She's decided, she's going to leave Coronation Street, which is a huge decision if you're a young actress.
Says here she's going to go to Hollywood to become the next Catherine Zeta-Jones.
That's what she wants to do, so I admire her for that. But secondly...
You'd have to find a Michael Douglas figure. Maybe that could be you.
Well, maybe that's what she's going for. But secondly, in order to do this, she's dumping her boyfriend. Now, I think this is an incredible,
so
show
she's
of self-belief.
Kind of unromantic and heartless as you, then.
No, it says here, Coronation Street beauty Georgia May Foote has dumped her fiancé days before leaving the ITV show. The actress stunned castmates by announcing the end of her relationship with a childhood sweetheart. So she's been going out with this guy since he was, they were 16 or something.
Oh, yeah.
Corrie sources say 24-year-old's dream of moving to Hollywood to become the next Catherine Zeta-Jones is the reason for the split. Now, I so admire that young lady for saying, right, I'm taking a grip on my own life, I'm going to go out there, it may not work.
Has she got any jobs out there, or is she just heading out there? She got an agent?
She's going out there. If you look like she does, and she looks beautiful, doesn't she? She must have a good chance of succeeding.
Right. I mean, there's a million girls that look like that in Los Angeles.
Well, looks all sure.
Well, when was the last time you went to LA?
Last time I went to LA?
Every single woman in LA looks as beautiful as she does, and they're all waiting tables, and they're all going, I want to be an actress, model, whatever.
No, I totally agree with you, but she has got some background in that she's come up from Britain's biggest soap that's been running for 50 years.
What part did she play in that? Has she been in it for a long time?
2 or 3 years.
Really?
She's a young single mother and that kind of stuff, and you had a bit of a problem with her boyfriend and all that kind of stuff. Got a new boyfriend now, all that kind of stuff. But I so admire her. Now, the reason I say this is because when I told you that was the way my life plan spanned out, you panned me for it. You said, well, you're heartless.
Well, I just said you're very selfish.
You've got to be
selfish is the word you're looking for.
No, you've got to have self-belief and you've got to be single-minded.
Selfish. Yeah, but as a result...
Single-minded self-belief is the only thing that will get you anywhere, Mike. Of course, you don't know about that because your life plan...
My life plan has been fantastic.
Your life plan has constantly been corrupted by your inability to leave women alone.
Yeah.
You are a horrendous womaniser.
No, rubbish.
You are an horrendous
Absolute
womaniser.
rubbish.
Everybody who knows you will tell you that, including your daughter.
Not true.
Your daughter knows that.
You don't bring her into it.
I'm not bringing her into it, but Emma, who's a lovely girl, knows of your past and and your diversionary tactics involving vast quantities of alcohol have not helped you along the way.
I know that you always accuse me of that, but I mean, that's a sort of glass houses scenario. The situation is this. You have been very self-centred all your life. You've been incredibly...
single-minded.
Single-minded as well.
Single-minded.
You've been single-minded as well, but you've been self-centred. And, it's all very well if you want to live that way, but you will die alone. That's what I always tell you.
What do you mean I'd die alone?
You will die alone because you haven't got any children to look after you. You haven't got any kind of heirs that will carry on the Parry name. You talked about forming a dynasty last time you were in here, and you won't be able to because there isn't anybody to carry on.
I don't fear dying alone. I don't fear dying alone. No. No, why should I fear dying alone?
Well, you might want to have.
What do you want?
When
you're on your deathbed, you want your relatives, your children, and your ex-wives, and your former.
Definitely. I want them all there.
Well, I ain't just to impose misery on them.
No.
I want to die alone.
Do you?
When I've decided the day has come, my family won't have a problem.
Yeah. I'm sure they won't.
They won't have a problem.
It'd be bad to see the back of you.
Really? Yeah. Yeah. That's very nice, isn't it? Yeah. How much that would hurt my sisters and my mother. No, when the day comes...
I have no intention of hurting your family.
When the day comes, I will find the door
Will you just wander off into the wilderness or
something? Sort of. I'll find the door...
Throw yourself off a cliff.
I will find the door marked exit, and I will go through it my own way.
Where do you think that is?
Sorry?
Where do you think it is?
Well, it's a state of mind. But I mean,
somewhere near the end of the M63.
Well, probably something like that. Yeah. But that's what I do.
Listen, I would. You see, the difference between you and I is this. Basically, I would never criticise you for your lifestyle, right? Yeah. You constantly criticise me for my lifestyle. Well,
which I don't criticise you for your lifestyle. I criticise you for your despicable values.
In many ways, it's none of your business, right? Your despicable values are actually much more despicable than mine. And in a despicable race, I think you would definitely win. You've just admitted to dumping women on the basis that you thought they might be bad for your career. Dumping other women who, after improving their marriage, despite the fact they're married to somebody else, dumping other women in the past because you thought they were a bit too fat, dumping other women on the grounds that they couldn't accompany you on your trip.
Single-mindedness.
It's not. It's selfishness.
It's not.
And as a result, you're a very miserable...
No, I'm not miserable.
Lonely character.
Do I look miserable?
Not now.
No, I'm not miserable.
But you are miserable most of the time.
Do you know what I'd do if I decided that, if somebody told me, right... Maybe this is getting a bit fatalistic. If somebody said, "Oh, I'm sorry, but you only got 3 months to live, or 4 months to live, or something like that."
Would you tell anyone?
No, because that would cause them misery.
You sure?
I'm certain. Certain people would be a bit upset if I told them.
There'd be some people who wouldn't be upset. I'm not being unkind.
No, all right, there might be.
You have left a few enemies in your wake.
Well, not really. I've been very nice and kind to most people in life. But anyway, the point is...
Yeah, but not at work you haven't.
Look, will you just shut up for a minute? But there'd be a few who would definitely take it to heart. And the misery of the last 6 months waiting for me to die must be appalling to them. So what I would do is...
I think you're overestimating the misery.
No.
You really do.
No. What I would do is I would go and find a bar on the 32nd floor of a tower in New York, right? And after about 4 bottles of Pinot Grigio, I'd conveniently arrange to fall over the railings to my death.
Oh, that's nice. Well, so what about the people down below?
Well, I'd make sure there's nobody there. Don't
worry. How can you make sure that?
I don't know. I'd pay somebody to stand there and just
look out above. But you see, again, you think everything can be handled by throwing money at people.
It can, but don't you see what I'm saying? Then my family, obviously, I've died, but I haven't died over a 6-month period of dying day by day.
Yeah.
I've died suddenly. The family said, "Oh no." Oh, poor old Mike, he fell off a balcony in New York. He's dead. But that'll all be over in a week.
But, presumably once
but to tell somebody that I'm going to be dead in 6 months' time gives them 6 months of agony, which I think is shocking. And anybody who lets your family go through that terrible, terrible phase, and the thing is, you could say, well, why not just tell them and then just die? Well, the point is, if you've got a serious illness, you deteriorate by the day.
You do.
And you end up, foaming at the mouth and all sorts of horrible things, which, and I'm very serious.
You've got rabies, I suppose.
No, don't be unkind, because people do have to live with relatives who die on a progressive basis.
Don't try and turn this into you being some kind of compassionate character.
On a progressive basis.
Here's the best tweet of the night. Let me read you the best tweet of the night from Freddie. Does Porky know the recently suspended Brian Williams from his time in America? They seem to have a similar line in Bending the Truth.
Oh, is this the guy in the helicopter?
Yeah, the guy in the helicopter.
$10 million a year presenter,
Anchorman at CBS News.
CBS News, who, do you know what? I bet that was a throwaway comment. I bet he said, of course, I was on the helicopter when the motorised grenade hit it and the pilot had to bring it down.
Well, seemingly he was in a kind of a convoy of helicopters.
Well, he says that.
People have been a bit unfair to him because one of the helicopters was shot at, which is good enough.
No, he says now I was in the helicopter behind, but actually there's no corroboration he was in the helicopter behind.
I know. So, when I was in New York, actually, he was only the local newscaster. He was on the local CBS station.
He did very well, didn't he?
Channel 3 or something like that. And he suddenly became the new Dan Rather.
Yeah, I would never...
Rather not.
I mean, that is one of the problems in our business, Mike. You make a claim on air when there's millions of people listening, somebody out there will catch you out if you're lying. Well, you can't tell lies.
You get caught out every night you're on here.
I don't get caught out. I don't get caught out.
What happened to you in Libya?
In Libya, I was hit by a missile. Well, I wasn't hit personally, but a missile from an F-111, which came off the the underside of the wing, hit the building I was in, took the top 2 floors of the hotel off, and rendered me.
Presumably you were okay because you were in the bar.
No, I was in fortunately, my room was on about the 8th floor, and the floors that disappeared were the 11th and the 11th, 12th, and 13th. So I just about survived.
Of it?
Sorry?
Have you got evidence of it?
Well, there was plenty of people there at the time. Plenty of people there.
No pictures?
Eh?
No pictures?
Well, you couldn't take any pictures because all the electrics went out, all the lights went out.
So there are no pictures of this attack on a hotel in Libya? In the middle of a war zone? Despite the fact the place is crawling with war photographers?
Well, not that I know of. I wouldn't think they'd be standing in the street taking pictures when the Americans were trying to blow everything up.
Well, that's their job.
Well, I mean, if that's their job, they should have got a picture. They didn't do a very good job, did they?
What year was it? We want the research department are going to look it up.
Let me just think. The Americans... Well, Reagan attacked them after the Americans got killed in a bar in Germany?
Yeah.
And Reagan
was president from 80 to 88.
Yeah, and this was 85, I think.
Was it?
I think it was 85.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll check it out. Because we don't want you to be suspended for
and by the way, the plane that launched that missile
the time, by the way.
Came from RAF Lakenheath. And, here, this is how good it is.
Look at the time.
About 2 years later, I met the pilot of the plane.
Did you?
Yeah.
Right. Did he remember shooting at you?
Well, no, because he couldn't see me, obviously.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. Coming up next, we are talking to a time traveller.
Let's do the time warp again. Let's do the time warp again.
It's just a jump to the left.
This is Talk Sport Extra Time. We are the two mics, of course. There will be a podcast coming out on iTunes a little bit later on. Follow us at the two mics. You'll see the link there to the YouTube clip as well, which is on Two Mics TV. Loads and loads of stuff going on. We'll be talking about much, much more in the next hour. And, of course, there'll be a quiz from Mr. Parry on Abba. Right now, though, we're going to talk to a very interesting man indeed, Dr. Bruce Goldberg, who's a hypnotherapist and a time traveller, would you believe, from California. Dr. Goldberg, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the show.
And a good morning to you guys.
Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Now, we had a guy on who you may have come across a few weeks ago who said that through various jump rooms in the United States, he'd been to Mars a few times and he had used a variety of sort of wormholes, I guess, to get to Mars and back again without really losing any time at all. Your experience appears to be slightly different. Tell us about it.
Well, the experience that he's talking about, Biagio, who went through the various...
That's him, yeah.
You might say like the time travel machine aspect, and that was with the Montauk Project back in the back in the 80s, etc. But here's what I do: I use hypnosis. So what I'm doing here is using a very ancient art. Hypnosis goes back to shamanism, which is 50,000 years old. And with the use of hypnosis, think of it like a daydream. People who are maybe listening to your show while they're driving in their car, they're actually in a hypnotic or daydream level for about 25% of the time they're driving. And I'm using the same natural state of mind to get them to relax, and in this case, to train them to actually go back or forward in time. They can perceive the past like in past lives or the earliest stage of this life. We call that regression. They can go into the future of this life or future lifetimes, and that's called progression, a field I developed a long time ago. And then they can also perceive parallel lives. We call this paregression. So there's a whole bunch of things you can do without machines, without having to do anything strange, just by using a natural hypnotic technique.
Doctor, thank you very much for coming on the show. Fascinating subject, this, and I'm very interested in what you've got to say. I have to ask you, as an eminent time traveller, how do we solve the problem of time travellers who may have had the opportunity to alter history but didn't? So, for instance, what we know now about Adolf Hitler, why doesn't somebody go back and shoot him in 1933 in the beer hall putsch or whatever, and then he wouldn't have inflicted all the misery on the world that he had?
Okay, here's the problem with that concept. Now, I also am the one person, I don't know anybody else in the world that can say this, but I actually have real cases of people who traveled from the future. They're called time travelers or chrononauts, and they originate from the 31st century all the way to the 50th century, and they come back in time and interact with us, and they've actually helped us with our own civilization and technology.
So have they altered their own present then? If let
me show you a very simple explanation as to why it's not a problem.
Yeah.
The reason is that when you travel back in time, you don't travel to the same universe. You go to a parallel universe.
Right.
So, in other words, if a time traveler comes back in time and kills Hitler, which they've done because there are parallel universes where Hitler never existed, you see, because there's an infinite number of other choices. Every time you have a thought, quantum physics states very clearly and proves mathematically that you actually create another universe where that actually occurs.
Is this a bit like, I don't know whether you've seen Interstellar, Dr. Goldberg, is this a bit like that, where the guy comes back and he's trying to get a message to his, his family, but he can't actually get back to the exact same room that they're in. He can only be like behind a wall.
Right. It's a similar situation, but the issue here is that in time travel, they always worried about causality. You're going to violate causality and cause major problems, but the answer is you don't, because you travel into a parallel universe. So let me show you one of the things I'd like to do for your audience, too, and you guys can also take advantage of this. I document my examples of regression, progression, and teleportation. We can discuss a few things, too. And my newest book, Exploring the Fifth Dimension, does that. It goes to details. And if your listeners are kind enough to order that directly from my website, which is that's Dr., DR for Doctor, BruceGoldberg.com, I will send them a free CD that goes along with the book called Fifth Dimensional Travel, where they can go into the fifth dimension, go back or forwards in time, or just do out-of-body experiences and actually experience this themselves rather than just hearing about it.
So anyone can do this, in other words. Maybe you should
anyone
try
can do it.
Mr. Parry here is a well-known follower of sort of new scientific ideas. I think you should have a go.
Okay, well, this is
I don't mind having a go. I've got a very open mind about these things.
Well, this is, I'll give you a good example. I was, you're familiar, I assume, with the TV talk show host Jerry Springer from America?
Yes.
You know who he is? Well,
yeah, of course,
Jerry Springer...
He's actually from here, isn't he, originally?
Yeah, he is. He's a Brit originally, yeah.
Well, he's from Cincinnati, Ohio, okay?
Yeah, no, but he's originally from the UK. He was born in the UK, I understand.
Oh, really?
He was, yeah.
I'll have to have some tea and crumpets with him the next time I see him.
You must do that, yeah.
But anyway, I was on his show several years ago, and I took him into a past life. Your listeners can actually see that on YouTube. If they Google Jerry Springer's past life, you'll see me regressing him to England in the early 1600s. So you can see Jerry as a knight in merry old Londinium back about 400 years ago. So anyone can do this. Jerry was very skeptical at first, as a lot of the people I work with who are talk show hosts and newscasters. Anyone can do this, and it's perfectly safe. And I've done this many times, and I've worked with over 16,000 patients doing over 35,000 regressions and progressions.
Now, I was reading that you've gone as far forward as the year 5000, and when you got to the year 5000... I don't know whether you're in a parallel universe there, but you said there were no humans there. So are you suggesting that the human race has died out by then?
Well, no, it's not died out. No, let me explain. These were dealing with time travelers from our future. These are the chrononauts, I call them, the time travelers. And they discover time travel in about the year 3050, the 31st century. And they function all the way to the 50th century. Now, by the 50th century, the year 5000, there are no humans on the Earth, not because they died out, but because we simply terraformed other planets, like Mars and other planets in other solar systems, so that we don't have the environmental problems and all the other things that we have now that we'd like to get rid of. So it's just a matter of advanced technology, and people just can't imagine what it's going to be like in 2,000 years.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, that is fully understandable, because Stephen Hawking, who the film's just been made about, the Brief History of Time, he has warned.
That's the name of his book, I think.
He has the theory of everything.
Yeah, the theory of everything. Yeah, he has warned a number of times over the last 5 or 6 years that unless man reaches out to other planets, the human race will die. One more question here, Doctor. When you start messing around with medical science, you always have to have rules that apply to it so that people don't create Frankenstein-type monsters, right? Now, when you're talking about time travel, what precautions are going to be made to stop people making it commercially viable to, for instance, go forward in time as far as the next Kentucky Derby, find out which horse won, and then come back.
Like in Back to the Future.
Yeah, like Back to the Future, then come back and then lump a load of money on it.
Okay, but remember in Back to the Future Part 2, they came back into a parallel universe where the guy has the sports thing and he's able to get the guy's mother as his wife and all the other problems.
Yes.
Remember, when you go back in time, you're going to a parallel universe. So if you got a lottery number or some, whatever in the future and you bring it back now, you're going to be in a different universe. That lottery number is not going to be relevant. So the universe is not stupid. They don't allow people to cheat. These are very... Let me give you an example.
So let me just ask you one more question, Dr. Goldberg. When you go to the year 5000, how do you know it's the year 5000?
Oh, well, you get the information. First of all, you can get it from the media there. You can just ask people, hey,
but
what
I thought
year
there weren't
is
any
it?
people, though. But if there's no people there...
Oh, okay. Well, no. What we do is we go to the years just prior to the end of the human race on this planet. So maybe it's the year 4,989. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And they say that
in
about 20 years there's going to be no life here because we're leaving the planet. That's how you know. You document it from the local residents. But let me say how you can. Yeah. Let me say how you can do a couple of things. You can do.
And and if you've got a date and a clock, like a chronometer that tells you the time and the date, what does it say when you get to that year?
Well, this is not like the movie The Time Machine where you have like a chronometer on a big machine. This is all done by hypnosis, okay? So you don't have physical devices.
That's a shame, because I figure if I want to travel in time, I want a machine. Mike, why can't I don't want to just go in my mind.
Mike, why can't you shut up and let the doc explain these things? You keep interrupting. Please, Doc, go on.
Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example of the most documented case of teleportation, which also includes time travel. And this is a very famous case. This case occurred in 1593, which is over 400 years ago.
Right.
In those days, you have to remember the year now, Spain at that time had the colonies of Manila, the Philippines, as well as Mexico.
Right.
So there was a guy, the Mexican soldiers and their weapons and their uniforms are very different than the Spanish ones. Okay,
right.
That's just the way they did this. Okay,
yeah.
A guy appears in the Mexican center in the square in downtown Mexico City in a Spanish uniform with a gun. He's by himself.
Right.
So the police come up to him and say, "What's going on? Who are you?" And he says, very nervously, he says, I was trying to help the governor, but I couldn't protect him, and he got murdered. And they said, what governor are you talking about? The governor is fine. He said, the governor of the Philippines. And they said, Philippines? When did this happen? He said, a couple of hours ago. The guy says, you're loco. They put him in a jail, and they interrogated him. So the historians documented this guy's case. Then the Catholic Church sent a priest in to do an exorcism because they thought he was possessed by the devil. Remember, this is 1593. It's October 25th. What happened was the guy, they just kept him in jail. He said, look, the governor was murdered and this and that, and they just said, look, you're a local, we're going to put you in jail. Now, 2 months later, it's Christmas time, okay? Now it's approximately, about December 25th. The ship comes from Manila to Mexico City. The Spanish people, the Spanish government would send their ships around giving news and supplies and, making sure that the territories, England has a history of colonies. You know what that's all about, right?
Sure.
Okay. So what happened was the guy comes there and he says, well, any news we should know about? He goes, yeah, the governor of the Philippines in Manila was murdered. And they said, when did this happen? He said, on October 25th.
Unbelievable.
Shocking
stuff. You're kidding. He said,
Dr. Goldberg, unfortunately, we're out of time.
But thanks very much
kind
indeed.
of ironic, really. But thank you so much for telling us all about that.
See, we need more people like this on the show. We need more people like this.
You fell for all that, didn't you?
Why
don't you get yourself regressed and go back in time?
What do you mean fell? I didn't fall for it.
You don't need to go back in time. You're only living in the 70s.
I've got a very...
Your attitudes towards women are from the 70s. All the music you like's from the 70s.
You've been on the coffee tonight,
You dress as if you're from the 70s.
You
don't need to go back in time.
You consistently interrupted Dr. Bruce Goldberg, who's one of the world's leading experts on time travel.
Absolute
Do you know
cobblers.
why? Because you didn't understand a word of it, because your brain can't take it in, pal. Parallel universe? You should live in some sort of parallel trouser press, for all you know.
Parallel trouser press?
About
Where does that
time
come
travel.
From? How about the parallel universe that you live in?
Well, I'll tell you something.
In which you are the most important man in the world, in which you are the best dressed man in the world, in which you are Brad Pitt to look at, in which you can run like Usain Bolt, you can drive a car like Sterling Moss, and every woman wants to fall at your feet. That's your parallel universe.
I've got a feel for time travel because I know that it's there. I know what's beyond life. I know what's beyond life.
Do you?
There's a journey. There's a.
Do you know what's coming
up next?
I'm
looking forward to the journey. By the way, most people fear death. I don't. I see it as a challenge.
Yeah.
I see it as an exciting new adventure.
Well, carry on. This is someone who'll kill you. This is Talk Sport Extra Time. We are the Two Mikes. There is a podcast coming out a little bit later on. Coming up in the next hour, it's time for the Porky Quiz, where he's going to be looking into the future and into the past because the special subject is Abba, the very successful pop band from the 70s, bizarrely.
Pop band? Phenomenon? Greatest singing group ever after the Beatles. Pop band.
Talk Sport Extra Time. I'm Mike Graham. He's Mike Parry. There will be a podcast coming out in about 5 or so hours' time. What on earth are you rubbing on your hands?
It's a potato, a new potato.
A new potato?
Well, it's half a new potato. Look,
why are you rubbing a new potato on your hands?
The juice of a potato has been proven...
Potatoes don't have any juice.
They do.
No,
they do.
They have water in them.
Well, that's potato juice.
No, it's not. It's water.
Well, OK, so how come we have things like potato soup? What you do is you boil up potatoes and all the moisture comes out of the potato and makes potato soup.
You don't just put potatoes in water and make potato soup.
Yes, you do. Of course you do. Of course you do.
Really?
Yeah, I do all the time. Now,
that must be like eating gruel.
No, it's not.
That's what they used to give people in the gulags of Siberia.
Look, will you just
potato
listen?
soup.
Just listen. According to medical experts, who I'm constantly in touch with,
yeah, of course,
only 1/3 of my heart works, so I have to keep it.
Does that help then?
So I have to keep in touch with these people.
On yourself.
Have told me that potato is a new medicine.
Why does it have to be new potatoes? Why can't it be Charlotte potatoes?
It can be Charlotte potatoes, but these are easier to carry around.
Well,
you see, I've got my
Maris
bag of
Pipers, for example.
I've got my bag of Sainsbury's actually.
There's another mention for
the plug for Sainsbury's. Yeah. But no, to be honest, I have skin problems because. With the dodgy ticker, I have to take these 22 tablets a day, and it does dry your skin.
Which can't be good for your stomach, can it?
Well, no, I have regular blood tests. It doesn't knacker up my kidneys or anything like that. No. If it did, I'd stop taking them, obviously.
Yeah.
But the point is, it dries up your skin as well. Right. Now, the other thing is, for years and years and years, right, you and I worked in the newspaper business. I was in a more senior position, so I was handling more newspapers every day.
Yeah.
And you get ink on your fingers all the time because ink was very, very wet in those days compared to what it is
when
now.
you used to get the first editions.
Yeah, exactly.
Hot off the press.
Yeah, hot off the press and almost wet, you know. So it meant I was washing my hands 50 or 60 times a day, and it's rubbed all the oils out of my fingers. So I use something called Humavate, which is a skin cream conditioner. And a medicinal one as well to get rid of all the hardness.
Oh, yeah.
But I've learned the potatoes now are better. Now I brought them in, Mike, because I want you to actually take these home because you have.
You want me to take potatoes home?
Yeah, because you have bags under your eyes.
Yeah,
you have bags under your eyes. Would you admit that?
That's because I'm tired.
Yeah, would you admit that you do?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, sometimes.
And it's not a good look. It's not a good look.
I do when I'm tired.
Right. One of the things they do is use potatoes as an eye mask to banish puffiness, OK? It says here, eyes look tired, shadows around the eyes and nose area. Try lying on the sofa after dinner each night.
I do that.
With slices of potato in your eyes, OK?
I'm not doing that.
No.
That'd be ridiculous.
I mean, you've heard that people do it with cucumber and stuff,
don't
they?
With cucumber, yeah.
Well, potatoes are better. Right, a leading expert, Dr. Wedgeworth, says puffiness is caused by little blood vessels that become too open. Because of its high water content, potato will be soothing and cooling and cause the blood vessels in the skin to constrict as part of the body's natural heat regulation. So that's what you want, Mike. Stick a couple of potatoes on your eyes after dinner, spend half an hour on the couch, and you'll get better. You'll get better.
Well, I'm not ill.
No, but you'll look better because you look...
I don't care how I look.
To be honest, Mike, you look quite repulsive.
I don't care how I look.
You look quite repulsive.
Yeah, but coming from you see, this is why I always say to myself that I don't really care what you think of how I look. I don't really care what anybody thinks of how I look.
Yeah, well,
I look the way I look because of the life that I've had, which has been tremendous. I don't wish to have plastic surgery. I don't wish to stick potatoes in my eyes.
I don't care how I look.
I don't.
What about frightening the horses?
I don't frighten horses. I've got horses that live just down the road.
What you don't understand is that...
don't you think that rubbing your hands with potatoes makes you look a bit weird?
No, not at all.
See, that's the difference between you and
I. No, because it's got magic
if you sat on a train
to skin.
Rubbing your hands with a potato...
Well, I wouldn't sit on the
British
train and do it.
Transport Police would come on and take you off.
I'm doing it in the studio here because there's only you and me in here.
The men in the white coats will be coming for you.
Now, what I was going to say is you don't understand the basic rule of life, and that is if you look good, you get good.
Yeah, well, how does that work for you then? Because you don't look good.
Now, you see, I think you're being a little bit offensive here and wholly inaccurate. You've seen pictures of me as a younger man. I was striking, right?
Well, everybody was better looking when they were younger.
Yeah, I know, but I had, a full beard and, sort of romantic features, and I was a striking-looking guy. Yeah, I would say, yeah. And I was...
You had hair then as well, yeah.
Well, I've got hair now.
And you haven't got much hair, though, have you?
You see, once again, you're trying to mislead people. All I'm saying is, don't you understand that the reason...
Yeah, what do you actually see when you look in the mirror, though? You do see Brad Pitt, don't you?
I congratulate myself when I look in the mirror on still being around, having had a successful life and helped to improve the lives of many others. Helped to improve the lives of many others. That's what I say. But look, let's get back to it. Why do you think one of the reasons David Beckham's had such a successful life, and let's face it, he is one of the most successful men in the world.
He certainly
is because he looks very good, right? People who look good get on better in life. Why do you think George Clooney looks good?
The basis of David Beckham's success hasn't just been his looks, though. He was a good footballer.
Yeah, of course he was, but he was also a good-looking boy. George Clooney, by the way, has created a phenomenon which I haven't told you about yet. Yeah. Men are now looking for partners in life who are brighter than they are.
You told me about this the other night.
Did I tell you about it? Yeah. Well,
I told you about it again. Is that no matter how good you look or how good you think you look, your brain is deteriorating literally by the second.
Not deteriorating
literally
at all.
by the second.
Not deteriorating at all. Now listen, I
should give you a memory test. Actually, that's what I should give you next. The next quiz should be on memory.
I look. There is literally nothing wrong with my memory, mate. You keep telling me that. You keep telling me my memory is perfect, and there's nothing wrong with it.
I've never told you that.
Now, just on the question of what we're talking about, the potatoes.
You're the one with a good memory.
No, potatoes and all that. Have we yet discussed the fact that after 35 years of being told you don't eat butter, you do eat butter now?
Well, we have discussed that.
Yeah. Have we discussed the fact that people are now telling you to put butter in your coffee?
In your coffee?
In your coffee.
I'm not sure we've discussed that.
And I tried that today because I thought, well, I like butter. I've told you the other night when I said
butter in your coffee,
I love a French stick chopped up, crusty, and butter and jam on it.
Fine.
Lovely.
You put butter in coffee.
Well, I tried it tonight, and I have to say it's difficult.
I would imagine.
Difficult.
Would it not create that kind of horrible filmy kind of
it
thing?
does. I mean,
is it supposed to be instead of milk or something?
It's instead of milk. You put.
I'll tell you what, I'm feeling a bit
coffee.
strange today because Ollie, who's working with us tonight, made me a very nice cup of tea earlier with fresh ginger. Fresh ginger and honey tea.
What's he doing that for? Has he decided he doesn't like you or something?
No, he said it was probably very therapeutic. It made me quite relaxed, actually. But I now, by mistake, have poured myself some water out of a bottle, which I thought was just straight water.
Yes.
But it's one of these, flavoured spring water bottles.
Right. Okay.
Flavoured of raspberries.
Okay.
So, sorry. I know this is of no interest to you.
No, it isn't.
Sorry, you've got something else to say?
No, well,
you don't want to hear the rest of the story?
Yeah, go on. Yeah, go on.
No, I can just tell by the tone of your voice
that
you just want to move on.
No.
Yeah.
Sorry, no. Go on.
It's very sweet, and it's not agreeing with me at all. I might have to dump it out. It's horrible.
Have you tried that chamomile tea?
I have had chamomile tea.
Horrible.
My mother drinks green tea, actually, which is quite nice. It's very good for your digestion.
Is that from China?
Yes.
I think it is from China.
It is.
Leaves. Listen, by the way, I want to tell you something else.
Go on.
Talking about the human body and all that, of which, of course, I'm a student.
Yeah, your body is a temple. I mean, you're one of the fittest people I've ever seen.
No, I'm not saying that.
Yeah, well, that's what you make out.
I've had to be very careful how I've utilised my body over the last 10 to 12 years since my heart collapsed, you know, acute heart failure.
Well, if they cut you open, they'd probably find Pinot Grigio running through your veins.
Acute heart failure is something that actually concentrates the mind. But do you know what? In 10 years' time, your wristwatch won't need a battery or anything.
Right.
It will run on the power generated literally by your body. Scientists are...
They've already made watches that do that, haven't they?
No. Scientists, something
Rolex
bigger than...
make those, don't they?
No, something big... No, Rolex is a chronometer, so it works on the movement of your wrist, right? What I'm saying is that
scientists...
It
doesn't need a battery, though, does it?
No, it doesn't need a battery.
So they've already invented it?
No, it's not that sort of watch. What I'm saying is that scientists are soon going to develop clothing which literally draws power from your body, from your skin, from the heat of it. It stores the heat in the clothing. Oh, yeah. It sends it to one particular...
in a battery?
In a battery. Sends it to one particular part of the clothing.
Sounds a bit dangerous.
Which is a battery.
And, I don't want a battery attached to me.
And then you can... If your phone is running out on the train, you can plug your phone into your body battery and it'll charge up again.
Yeah.
And that is all generated by your own body.
Well, we spoke to somebody, I think, a couple of years ago.
You know, like the sun gives solar power. Well, I haven't finished. The sun gives solar power to mechanical things. Your body in future will give you power.
Really?
Give you power.
Right. Well, yours won't generate much power if only a third of your heart works, because presumably the heat generated by your heart and your blood system is not anything like the heat that my system generates.
I think you'll find, because I walk 20 or 30 miles a week to keep my heart in shape, if you think of a dynamo on the wheel of a bike,
should I check
I'd think of a dynamo on the ankle of my foot.
A dynamo is the least likely thing.
I would generate much more power, much more electricity than you do. Simple as that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I've had a big day on my walking and running distance. I have to say, my dashboard is revealing that my daily average is now 2,219 steps.
Load of rubbish.
My walking and running distance yesterday was 5 kilometres.
Lots of rubbish.
And 11 floors of flights were climbed yesterday.
I don't think so.
Very, very good
I don't know where you
indeed.
get all
Now,
that
I've got a great tweet here from somebody just before we have to look into the light for a moment. Who's talking about time travel, and what he says is, Scott says, Parry's travelled to the year 3000 and his roof garden should be finished any day soon.
Well, that's true. Actually, that is a big problem.
That is very true. And then one more here, a text from somebody who doesn't give a name. What if you haven't got slices of potatoes to cover your eyes? Could you use powdered mashed potato instead?
No. That would just be a big blob. And I do wish some people would take these things more seriously, because usually...
Have you seen the time?
Usually, hang on. No,
you can't hang on. Look, it's late already.
Within a couple of months of me coming out with these fantastic theories, it's revealed that they're absolutely true.
No, really. We are the two Mikes. The Porky Quiz is coming up very soon. Mike Graham, he is Mike Parry. The Abba Quiz coming up very shortly. Brian Ferry recorded that song, you know.
He did, didn't he? Yeah.
Do you remember the old advert they used to do for SO Blue? They asked me how I knew. No, they asked me how I knew it was SO Blue, because it was an advert for like smokeless fuel.
Right. They asked me how I knew.
Yeah, I didn't ask you to sing it.
It was SO Blue. That's pretty good, that. Wasn't it?
Well, if you say so.
I thought it was very good.
I know you think you're a great singer as well.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, we're talking about smoking. There's a couple of things this week. Smoking in cars with children now, coming October, is going to be punishable by a £50 fine. Yeah. One of the most ludicrous ideas anybody's ever come up with.
I think that's the most sensible piece of legislation that's been passed for a long time. You want to fill your children's lungs full of your filthy smoke.
First of all, I will tell you quite categorically, I do not smoke in the car with my kids. I do not smoke anywhere near my kids. But the idea of bringing in yet another law for somebody to actually try and enact is ridiculous. Who on earth is going to start fining people 50 quid for doing it? How are you going to do it?
Well, everybody,
how are you going to carry it out?
Everybody, I hope, because you see...
What do you mean, everybody?
Well, because not...
So you're in favour of mob rule, are you?
I'm in favour of trying to protect children's health, and the issue is not everybody is as intelligent as you are and knows.
That's very true.
And knows that if you smoke in cars, you damage your children's health. So, for instance, some guy who's maybe feckless and got a broken down old car, it's probably not got taxed and he's got no insurance, and he bungs his kids in the back and runs them to school, but he's smoking at the same time. And you've seen women doing it all the time. I see women smoking in cars with their children all the time.
No, you don't.
I do. And
I hardly ever see it.
I do. I see it, definitely.
Yeah, well, I go to school run, and I don't see people...
They have the window open, so they think that's
smoking, no.
But you know, only 10% of the smoke ever goes out the window. The rest of it stays inside the car.
That's just rubbish.
No, it's not, Mike. It's not rubbish. It's absolutely true.
Part of that propaganda machine also tells you that 80% of smoke is invisible, right? Yeah, so you're supposed to believe that actually most cigarette smoke can't be seen. Yeah. It's invisible.
But I don't understand you, because you're saying you never smoke in the car with your kids.
I don't.
And yet you want to forgive people who do.
No,
you want to forgive people who do.
I'm saying...
You're a complete hypocrite.
No, you're incapable...
You're a fat fool when it comes to things like...
No, see, now you're turning nasty.
Hang on, agreeing with...
You just call me a fat fool.
Yeah, because your principles...
So you think that's justifiable in a debate, do you?
Your principles...
Is that your main source of kind of,
hang on.
Attempt to...
Your principles are, I don't smoke in my car with my kids, but I am a smoker, therefore I'm going to be pro-smokers, so I'm not going to condemn anybody who does.
None of that's true.
What a warped set of values.
None of that is true. If you actually bother to listen to what I said, I said to you is, could you please explain to me how this law is going to be enacted? Are we going to have police officers standing on every street corner waving down cars because there's... Just answer the question. How's it going to happen? How's it going to work? We haven't got enough police officers to arrest the proper criminals.
We have crazy vigilantes. Like, did you read about the bloke last week who's so far got 40 motorists persecuted? This guy drives around on a bike. He's got 3 cameras, one on his helmet, one on his shoulder, and one on the front of his bike. Yeah. And he sends videos to the local cops
focusing... but these are these bike fanatics, aren't they? Bike fanatics.
Well, it turns out the guy's a bus driver in his lifetime, but he's also a cyclist and all that. Now, these vigilantes will go really heavy on the smoking thing, because not only are they anti-car, anti-fuel, anti-oil, anti-anything, they want all the energy in the world to come from these huge...
So you're on their side?
Mills. I'm not on their side at all.
So you want people to be terrorised by amateur photographers taking pictures of people in cars doing what they're doing?
I'm on the side of the children. I'm here to support and defend those who can't defend and support themselves. And that includes children.
Really?
Put in the back of cars. So you're now the
man for children, You're now the sort of
children put in the back of the car.
Commissioner.
Not even given a seatbelt. Yeah. The car's only got a brake at 30 miles an hour, and the child would go straight through the front windscreen.
I was driven all over Europe without a seatbelt.
Yeah, well, I could explain.
I was driven all over Europe without a seatbelt.
Now, talking about smoking,
we didn't even have seatbelts in the back of the car.
Well, they didn't in those days, and as it was your mother driving, she was probably quite aware of the fact that she didn't want to kill you.
She was smoking as well half the time.
I bet she was in that car. Yeah. Well, my dad used to do it. He used to take us to school
didn't do any harm,
in the old Morris Minor, and he was smoking and snapping out, maths equations.
Obviously, it's a very stupid idea to smoke in a car with your children, and you shouldn't do it. Okay, my argument is that it's a ludicrous thing to try and impose as a law, because they won't be able to in any way find enough people to actually prosecute it.
No, you see,
nonsensical.
Another set of principles of yours which I find wholly objectionable. Oh, it's not worth bringing in law about it because we can't enforce it.
That's right.
It's good for the health of children, but you can't be bothered to introduce it. Now,
talking about
smoking, delighted to hear that Germany have now introduced a new law that if you are standing on the balcony of your home and smoking, you can remain there for 3 minutes and 3 minutes only.
What do you mean?
Why do you think that is?
Why?
Because...
What's it got to do with them? What, you're smoking outside?
Outside.
Why?
Because if you live in a tower block and there is a balcony above you, that smoke filtrates upwards, as smoke does, into the balcony above you.
That's a load of old comments.
No, it's happened.
Absolute
I tell you what. In one of the places I've lived, or a property I own.
Oh, one of the pretty properties you own.
Well, no. What are you getting offensive for?
I'm not getting offensive.
I don't tell you how to invest your money. You want to spend £100 a day on a bottle of champagne, pal. That's up to you.
Yeah, exactly.
I prefer to look after my future.
You normally hold me up to ridicule.
I prefer to look after my future.
How many houses have you got?
What's that got to do with the price of fish?
Well, it's just a question.
What's it got to do with the price of fish?
Just a question.
Well, I'm not prepared to get into that, because that's not what we're talking about.
Okay.
And you're wasting time.
All right.
What I'm saying
is... give you a quiz on your properties.
What I'm saying is, at one of the properties, there's Velux windows in the side of the house.
Velux?
Velux. They're the ones that open up from the roof, right? The property next down, the one below, has a balcony outside, and the person there is smoking away, and all the smoke is rising up and going through the Velux window of the person above.
Just shut the window then.
No, why should you shut the window? You like the breeze on a summer's day.
Smoking is not illegal.
Well, I don't care, but it's
not an illegal practice.
It's very antisocial.
Well, lots of things are antisocial.
So the person upstairs has gone to the person downstairs and said, "Look, I'm sorry." He said, "I don't care." I said, I want to go out on my balcony and smoke. That's up to me.
Absolutely.
Shut your windows.
He's
exactly
correct.
What he said.
Yeah, he's entirely correct.
It creates diffusion. It creates tension.
Diffusion?
It creates nastiness.
Sure, that's the word you mean.
Yes, that's the word I mean. And, of course, people like you have no sympathy whatsoever. None at all. And I find it shocking.
Now, so am I to take it that the next time you ask me for a cigarette, I shouldn't give you one then?
Come off it. Who are you trying to fool?
Well, we published a picture of you smoking outside the Head and Chickens not that long ago.
Well, that was stressful. That was a stressful
really?
night. Of course it was stressful. We've been on stage and
so I'll just turn you down next time you ask me then.
I think it was one in a month.
One
in a month.
One a month?
And by the way, that's good for you. 2 or 3 cigarettes a month are good for you. No, they are.
You're such a hypocrite.
No, they are.
Now, listen, talking about cars, right?
Yeah.
Talking about cars, there's a lot of cars now, which we didn't actually talk about this yesterday, but did you see the footage of the driverless car?
I did.
Which you said was going to be years and years away. They're now testing them, right? They're going to be on sale probably within 12 months.
No.
Driverless cars.
Driverless cars won't be available or lawful till 2030.
No, I don't agree.
No, I've spoken to my mate at the old Motor Manufacturers Association.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I know this for a fact.
One of your sources.
What's more worried about cars is the report this week that there are now so many gadgets in cars, drivers are seriously distracted. Right?
What sort of gadgets?
Well, for instance, sat-navs.
Yeah.
Which people are constantly referring to.
People are so over-dependent on sat-navs, it's ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Absolutely ridiculous. I don't use them.
No, I don't either. The only thing that should be allowed in a car is a radio. Seriously, because you don't have to do anything with that. And by the way, since all modern cars have a control for the volume and changing... yes, they do.
Not all modern cars, no. Just the kind you drive.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, but I mean... that
because you're able to afford an expensive car, so yours has. Yeah. Not every car has a volume control.
Volume control and change the channel is usually on the steering wheel now.
No, it doesn't.
Well, listen, you must have a car built in 1950 58 if you haven't got that facility.
I'm not talking about my car.
Got the facility.
I'm not talking about my car. I'm talking about not everybody drives around in a car in which you can control the radio from the steering wheel.
In that case, that car must have been made in North Korea.
You're out of touch with the people.
Must have been made in North Korea because every car today has got a volume and channel control on the steering wheel. Now, the sat-nav is dangerous because people are looking at it all the time. They're fiddling with it. They're trying to get,
Have you got a sat-nav in your car?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Does it talk to you?
Yes, it does, yeah.
Have you switched off the voice or not?
I don't know how to switch the voice off.
So the voice talks to you all the time?
It does, yeah. But, I mean, that does distract me a bit. But
so you're driving down the road and, what did it say, recalculating? Does it have a destination? Or are you just driving around endlessly without a destination to go to?
No. I know where I'm going usually, but sometimes I don't.
Where does it think you're going?
Well, it goes where I take it. It's as simple as that.
But if it talks to you, it must be giving you instructions.
It's not. I don't take any notice, honestly.
What is it saying?
Well, if the radio's on, I can't hear it, so it doesn't matter.
I bet you programmed it to say, Porky, you're such a great driver.
No, don't be ridiculous.
Marvellous.
The one that really gets
me.
The one that really gets me is the eco button.
Oh, yeah.
Now, this is the button which means when you stop at traffic lights, the engine cuts out.
Yeah, I haven't got one of them.
This completely does my head in because I don't want the engine to cut out.
The only eco button in a Land Rover is for the air conditioning. That's all.
Okay, yeah. Well,
because the Land Rover is very ecological.
Yeah, okay, I don't want the engine to cut out every time I slow down. It drives me nuts, and then you put your foot back on, take your foot off the brake.
Yeah, I've driven cars like that. I don't like it at all.
And it springs into life again. Yeah. And so, anyway, I always switch that one off because it doesn't do any good. But all these gadgets we've got now, I mean, for instance, you've seen the inside of the cockpit of a Formula One car driven by somebody like Lewis Hamilton, and that car is now virtually driven by the steering wheel because they change gear with their thumbs and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. That's all going to come to cars. The reason that Formula One motor racing exists is to practice the technology.
You can do that on some cars.
Change gear on the steering wheel. Yeah. Well, that's usually for people who are disabled, isn't it? You have to have cars.
There are some cars you can do that on now.
Well, who would want to do that? Who would want to change gear on the?
If it's one of those sort of semi-automatics, you can change it if you wish to drive it that way. Yeah.
See, that's what I mean.
I think I used to have a Honda that did that.
And if you're distracted with that, you're not concentrating on the road. Yeah. And by the way,
well, you're busy driving down the road pretending you're in a bloody Spitfire. So, I mean, how are you concentrating exactly?
No, I'm not.
Bandits at 2:45 or whatever it is?
No, it was actually... OK, chaps, bandits at 10 o'clock.
That's what I mean.
Look at the light!
I'm going in first. Tally-ho!
Yeah, tally-ho. Look into the light for a moment. It's Porky quiz time coming up. Last week, I think it was, what he wanted to be quizzed on this week, and he decided that it should be Abba.
I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
You were the one that volunteered Abba.
I don't. I say to you, look, you will accuse me eventually of picking subjects...
I wish you guys had recorded some of this stuff.
Which I know a lot about.
Right.
I left it to you, and I said, well, there are so many subjects which I feel that I've studied during my lifetime, and I just said, things like the Beatles, like Coronation Street,
You got 3 out of 10 on the Beatles.
And you suddenly picked out Abba. No, I didn't get through out some of the Beatles. No, I didn't.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going through that again because, I'm... by the way, I'm never going to use the word gerrymandering again because
you shouldn't.
It's now become absolutely stock in trade for you being a cheat.
Yeah, I know, but it's the wrong word, of course, because it only has reference to cephology, doesn't it?
No, not at all.
Do you know what cephology is?
Of course I do.
What is it?
I'm not going to explain it to you.
You don't know, do you?
Of course I do.
You have no idea what it is.
Don't be ridiculous.
You don't know what cephology is?
I know what cephology is.
I'll give you a quiz on cephology next week.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you don't get any points on the quiz, I'll give you some extra points if you tell me what it is. But you're going to look it up now, aren't you? Don't use your information device.
I'm not.
Can you please
I'm
bring in the
neutral
United Nations judges, please?
I don't need it.
Anyway, as usual, independent quiz masters have come up with the questions. If you get one of them right, you will hear this sound.
When it takes it all.
Oh, excellent.
If you get it wrong, you'll hear this.
Oh, right, OK, that's great. I thought it might be the other bit of the song. The winner takes it all, the loser takes a fall.
The loser.
Yeah.
Yeah, too obvious. They're too clever for that.
Yeah.
All right, ready for question number 1?
Yeah, come on, let's go.
Where did the name Abba come from?
It is the initials of the 4 members of the group, Agnetha, Annefred, Benny and Bjorn.
Correct.
When it takes it all.
Thank you.
Question number 2.
Easy.
1 out of 1.
Yeah.
How many worldwide sales did Abba notch up?
35 million.
Incorrect.
What do you say it is?
380 million.
I meant that. I meant 350 million.
You said
no,
35.
Honestly, I meant 350 million. I was thinking in my head.
Well, that's by a factor
No, I
of
want to
10.
be asked the question again.
No, you can't be asked it again.
No. I honestly had it in my head. I knew it was 350 million, which would have been acceptable.
1 out of 2.
No, you tracked me there. Look, I'm answering them too quickly. I'm going to think a bit more.
You're going to think a bit more? OK. Question number 3. What was their last hit while they were still together?
Now, it might be Winner Takes It All. Because that was all about the breakup.
Is that your answer?
No, I'm thinking aloud.
All right.
Thinking aloud. Because that was the breakup of their marriage. The winner takes it all, the loser takes a fall. I can only see what I meant to be around.
You don't get any points for singing it badly.
Want to say it right, and in the middle of the night. I'm just trying to get it in my head. Hang on. So it was either that one, or it was it wasn't Super Trooper. I think it was Winner Takes It All.
Incorrect.
Yes,
it was actually One of Us.
One of Us.
Do you want to hear it? Have you got it?
I've never heard it before.
Let's have a listen.
they passed me by.
Oh, rubbish. That's rubbish.
Those great romances.
Take it off. It's
This
rubbish.
was all about the split because it was One of Us is crying.
Well, I'm sorry, but I mean that. It depends when it was recorded and when it was released.
1981.
You know. Winner Takes It All was still the right
No.
answer there.
Incorrect.
Sorry, that was gerrymandered.
One
That
out
was.
of three. I thought you said you weren't going to say that anymore.
I wasn't going to.
Number
Go on.
4.
Yeah.
Name 2 of the stars of the film Mamma Mia.
Mamma Mia, here we go again. What's that got to do with ABBA?
Well, it's the story of ABBA.
It's not. Yeah,
It's the story of ABBA.
It's not. It is a story about a woman who goes and lives on a Greek island,
Yeah.
and all her ex-husbands
Yeah.
come for their anniversary.
Yeah.
One
It's
was
all about ABBA
Pierce
songs.
Brosnan,
Yeah.
and Julie. What's her name? You know
Hey?
what I'm talking about.
No idea.
Yeah. Pierce Brosnan.
What's your answer?
Yeah, I've just told you it's Pierce Brosnan.
Pierce Brosnan
and,
is one. You
and
get half a
Julie,
point for that.
And
You get half a point for Pierce Brosnan.
Julie, she was in. You know who she is.
I'm not giving you the answer.
Hang on.
I'll have to hurry you.
Piers.
You got 10
Brosnan.
seconds.
This has got nothing to do with ABBA.
Of course it has.
It's not. It's just a soundtrack.
Of course it has.
Julie. What's her surname?
You're out of time, I'm afraid.
No, Julie.
You get half a point for Pierce Brosnan. You get half a point for Pierce Brosnan.
Julie.
I don't know what you're playing for half a
I can see her face
point.
in my head. I can see her face in my head.
Yeah, well, hopefully she can't see your face in her
I
head.
can see her.
Julie Walters. You
Julie
get half
Walters.
a point.
Julie
1.5
Walters.
out of 4.
No, I get 3/4 of a point.
No.
I do
No, you
because
don't.
I got her first
Rubbish.
name.
You get half a point. Question number 5. What are the surnames of Benny and Agnetha?
Agnetha Falstag.
Uh-huh.
And
Actually, not quite correct, but I'll let you off with that.
Falstag and Benny Anderson.
Correct.
Hey! Woo!
Then takes it all.
Yes,
2.5 points out of 5.
Uh-huh.
Currently running at 50%.
Uh-huh.
Question number 6. What
Yeah.
is the title of this song?
The Sound of Silence.
He hasn't got the song. Are you joking? No. What do you mean he hasn't got the song? All right, he's going to look for the song.
Oh, so you're going to
Unbelievable.
jump over that question?
Oh, I'll
are
jump
you?
over that
'Cause
question.
It doesn't
We'll come back
suit
to
your
it.
cheating ways.
No, I gave him the quiz.
You
He's messed it up.
despicable
Question number
cur.
7. We'll go back to number 6. Question number 7. Which 2 Australian movies started the ABBA revival in 1994?
What?
Which 2 Australian movies started the ABBA revival in 1994?
What on earth are you on about?
Would you like me to say it 3 times?
There aren't any movies in Australia.
There
They
aren't
don't
any
make
movies in Australia. They don't make movies in Australia.
No,
Are you
make
sure about
movies
that?
in Hollywood and London, and don't make movies in Australia.
Yeah, well, they do, I'm afraid. And there were 2 movies made in 1994 which contributed to a massive revival of ABBA songs and a massive rebirth of ABBA sales.
ABBA were massive in Australia because when they first started going worldwide tours,
Yeah.
first one they did was in Australia. And they were so big, Qantas sent a jumbo jet to Europe to pick them up and take them there. And it circled over Sydney 3
it?
times before it landed.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Now, you don't get any points for that.
So, I mean, I don't know what this question's all about.
Well,
I
there were
can't
2
understand the
films
question.
that liberally used ABBA music throughout, and they became so associated with ABBA that people started buying ABBA songs again in 1994.
Films start with ABBA as a soundtrack. What's this got to do with ABBA? What's it got to do with ABBA? Nothing.
It's got loads to do with
No,
ABBA.
they didn't choose it. The guy making the film chose
but
the
it
ABBA
It
soundtrack.
resulted in an ABBA revival
I mean, that is like,
in
honestly...
1994.
Honestly, that is like saying, give it. That's like, well, it's just ridiculous. There's no
You
connection.
don't know the
there.
answer, do you?
Well, I'm not an expert on the Australian film industry, am I? I'm an
Incorrect.
expert on ABBA.
Incorrect.
It's a ridiculous question.
It was Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, and Muriel's Wedding. 2 very famous Australian films.
Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, as far as I know, is a London stage show.
Yes, it was also a film.
Well, you should have
Before
said
that.
it was a London stage show,
No.
and I'd have got it, wouldn't I?
No, you wouldn't have known.
You
Right,
dumb
we
cock.
can now go back to number 6. I believe we have the song.
You found a villain in arms to provide you with an answer now, have you? You
Well,
didn't
no,
have an answer to
he
that
just
question.
He just didn't have the music ready. Listen to this and
slug.
tell me what is the title of this song.
seen you twice in a short time.
Okay, that's enough.
And I want to know what's the name of the game.
What's your answer?
Name of the game.
Correct.
Thank you. Hey.
3.5 out of 7.
Yeah.
Question number 8. What
Jeez.
was ABBA's biggest selling single?
That would be... It's either, I'm thinking aloud now, it's either Dancing Queen or Mamma Mia. And I think, because Waterloo was the Eurovision Song Contest winner, followed by SOS, followed by Mamma Mia, followed by Dancing Queen. I'm going to go for... Because the video was beautiful of the two girls standing on the stage with their hands raised and then turning round. She can dance, she can jive, having the time of her life.
Shall we hear it? See if you
When
try.
it takes it all.
Thank you.
Let's have a listen to the real song.
Thank you. I got it.
You did get it.
I got it. I got it. I got
4.5 out of 8.
Woo-wee. Wow.
All right. You're feeling very good about this,
I
aren't you?
certainly am.
I predicted 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
You only got higher than this on the chocolate quiz, I seem to remember.
Okay, yeah.
That was only because
Yeah.
we gave you loads
Yeah.
of chocolate.
Yeah.
Question number 9. Which comic character made this song his trademark?
Walking through an empty house, tears in my eyes.
Okay, that's enough.
The only person I can relate that to, and again, this is not a song. This is not a question about ABBA, of course.
Of course it is.
No, it's not. It's a
It's an
question
ABBA
about.
song.
It's a question about comedians. It's
Yeah.
nothing to do with ABBA. If you asked me where ABBA recorded their records, how many they sold, what tours they went
What,
on,
is that what you've
the
got written on? Is that what you got written on the back of your hand?
the private lives of the members of the band, I would tell you. I would say is probably Harry Hill.
Incorrect. It is, of course, Alan Partridge.
Alan Pardew.
Not Alan Partridge.
What did you say? What did you say? What did you say? I don't know what you're talking about now.
Knowing me, knowing you.
Aha!
You don't remember that? Alan
I don't
Partridge?
watch Alan Partridge. I never have done.
It certainly wasn't Alan Partridge.
No. How am I possibly supposed to know that? I've never watched an Alan Partridge show, and that is an outrageous. That is an outrageous question.
4.5 out of 9.
Outrageous
Question number 10, to see if you can make it to 5, which I said you might get, okay?
Yes.
ABBA
yes.
won the Eurovision Song Contest in 1974 with Waterloo.
Yeah.
Who won it the year after?
That's not a question about ABBA.
Yeah, it is.
You idiot.
Yes, it is.
That's not a question about ABBA.
It's a perfectly good question.
It's not a perfectly good
What's the
question.
matter? Don't you know the answer?
It's a ridiculous. I haven't been studying the winners of the Eurovision Song Contest
not? Well,
outside of
well,
ABBA.
I would have done it if I were you.
Honestly, you oaf. I mean, this really is disgraceful.
Maybe it was Alan Pardew that won it the year after.
Right, I'm thinking aloud now. Thinking aloud.
Okay.
I think it was somebody who was British. I think it was somebody who was
Well,
British.
I can't give you any clues,
I think it
obviously.
was somebody who's British, and in those days, now Cliff Richard won it, Lulu won it. Hang on, let me think. Could have been Lulu. Could have been. Oh, I know who it might have been. Save all your kisses for me. Oh no! It could be the one where they whip the skirts off.
I'll have to hurry you.
So that was
I can't help
Making Your Mind Up. Yeah, it would be that one. Making Your Mind
And
Up.
who sang it?
It was sung by.
I can't give you any clues.
No, hang on. And Cheryl Baker was in the group.
She was.
Cheryl Baker,
Yeah.
Making Your Mind Up.
Come on.
Well, that's it. I've got it. It's Cheryl
You've got to
Baker.
give me the
Making Your-
title. You've got the name of the band as well.
I've given you the name of the song, Making Your Mind
Think
Up.
of Champagne.
Champagne. It was Bucks Fizz.
Yeah.
Hey!
Incorrect.
Oh, you idiots. Yeah, I mean, that is fun.
Oh, that was fantastic.
That's
Let's hear the
disgraceful.
song from 1975.
Disgraceful.
Is it bringing anything back?
No. Which
It's a song-
half-baked European performer was this?
This was a band called Teachin, who were Dutch, and they had a song
Honestly,
called
that is disgraceful,
mate. Ding a Dong.
I tell you
Ding
what.
a Dong.
The quiz has lost
I
all
remember it.
credibility.
Listen to it now. You
I
know
don't
this song.
remember
You
it.
remember this song.
Rubbish. Ding a dong.
I remember this one.
Load of rubbish. That wasn't a question
Anyway,
about ABBA.
the grand score.
Where were they from, by the way?
The Netherlands, I told you.
So some bunch of jokers from the Netherlands singing Ding a Dong has what relevance to ABBA?
They won the Eurovision Song Contest the following year.
Utter nonsense, honestly.
Well, I think you did quite well. You didn't get past your all-time top score, which is 5 out of 10 for the chocolate quiz, but you did get 4.5 out of 10.
No,
very close to what I predicted. What you did not get was 10 out of 10, which you predicted.
No, unless you give me an extra mark there for that last question, because you...
Why?
Because
you got it wrong.
No, and you deliberately enticed me into giving a false answer by being, like a smart-ass
I didn't
inquisitor.
entice you into it. You thought it was Bucks Fizz. It was wrong.
You're
I'll tell you what, I'll give you an extra half a point and give you 5 out of 10 if you can tell me the definition of cephology.
Cephology?
There's no point in looking it up on your information machine.
I'm not.
What are you looking up then?
An email's come in saying that you've sold out at the Birmingham show. We get one every night at this time.
Well, we already do that.
Very good of them to tell us that.
Why do they keep sending you an email that says we've sold out? We already have.
It's an automated box office.
Oh, I see. Right.
Thing.
Okay. So you're going to get 4.5 out of 10, basically.
No,
which is not bad.
No.
For you,
I'm not sinking to this level of having to try and justify my accumulation of points by answering questions on another subject.
Okay.
Everybody knows what cephology is. It's
Go on.
It's a derivation of
derivation.
It's a derivative
of
cephoric.
Cephoric.
Yeah.
And what's that about?
Well, I'm not getting into it, Mike.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
4.5 out of 10 for Mr. Parry. We'll all give him a big round of applause. Not 10 out of 10 as he suspected. Well, I wonder what we should give him as a quiz next week. This is Talk Time. I'm Mike Graham. He is Mike Porky Parry. There will be a Two Mikes podcast coming out in around about 4 or 5 hours from now, of course. Very enjoyable quiz there. Well done, Mr. Parry. I think 4.5 out of 10. Not bad at all under the circumstances.
I'm irate with anger.
Well, we've got lots of.
That last question was so stupid, so ridiculous. Should have asked me a question about Abba, not about some bunch of jerks from Holland
I remember that song very well.
Stumbled to victory in the Eurovision Song Contest the year after Abba.
If I'd been asked to research it, I would have looked up who else around them won the Eurovision Song Contest. Anyway, Phil Rowan says, actually, that last question was a bit naughty. Bill says, ha ha, Alan Pardew, ha ha. Mr. Parry, you were right. That last question was absolutely ridiculous. And DOR says, I can't shake the image of Alan Pardew saying, aha, on the touchline.
Well, I didn't hear what you said. All I heard was pa, and I didn't. Somebody made sent volumes in my ear, and I didn't hear what you said after that.
No, I wouldn't need to give you a quiz on that last song, Dedicated Follower of Fashion, by one of your other favourite bands, of course, the Kinks.
Kinks, yeah, great.
No, I don't want to give you a quiz on them, but have you seen that story this week that more and more men are actually smartening up their act and dressing better? So I wanted to address this to you, because I know that when you do go out, occasionally you put a suit on, but generally speaking, you look pretty much like a tramp.
No, I don't, and that's unfair to say. You drink,
Last week you wore that ridiculous shirt, right, that you didn't even know where it came from.
Yeah, I did. Well, I've thrown it away.
Have you?
Yeah, it looked daft.
Right.
And I got some stick
Well, this
from
one's
people.
not much better, to be honest.
No, come on, this is...
It's just different colours. It's still stripy and pyjama type shirt.
No, it's not. It's classic, this, and it costs about 120 quid, so don't mock
120 quid for the shirt?
Yeah, absolutely.
Rubbish.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it did.
Who made it, then?
Well, I don't know who made it.
Is it one of those Italian designers again?
Italian designer. Now...
it actually says Italian, doesn't it, when you pull the collar back?
I don't know.
That's what it says.
Yeah.
If you paid 120 quid for that, you were robbed.
Listen, this dress thing is interesting because of Eddie what's his name? Redmayne.
Redmayne?
Eddie
Redmayne? What, the guy from the Brief History of Time movie?
Yes, that's him. Is that Redmayne?
Yeah, that's not the name of the film, though, is it?
No, it's not. No, but because of him and my old friend Cumberbatch,
Simon Cumberbush.
You know what I'm talking about.
Simon Cumberbush was what you called him.
No, I didn't. Now, because they've appeared in films...
What's his name again? Benedict, right?
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yes.
And they dress very smartly. It has caused a surge of re-interest in dressing.
See, I've never understood why people dress in a particular way because of somebody they see in the media or in the movies.
Well, they do. This is why...
No, I know.
This is why these famous actresses get, like, £10,000 dresses sent to them as a matter of course to wear at first nights and openings and on red carpets and all that. Because it stimulates the sale of the clothes, doesn't it?
Yeah,
What I don't understand is, when you see an advert in the papers for a new line of fashion from Marks and Spencer, well, don't you realise when you go and buy it, there must be another 100 people who've got that same.
Well, that's why I don't buy my clothes at Marks and Spencer.
Yeah, I do sometimes.
Because you do.
If I buy my chinos, all chinos look the same, so it doesn't matter. But if a woman buys a dress and it's got a particular pattern. I mean, she walked into a room and somebody else had that dress on. Apparently, that is a terrible fashion faux pas.
And it has happened, hasn't it? It has happened in the past.
Yeah, it has happened, yeah. But what point I'm making is that I do believe that in certain professions, you must adhere to a standard of dress because that you are then representing what that profession as values are. Do you see what I mean?
Well, radio's not great for that, is it?
No,
because
radio's not great because we work in studios. The studios get filthy because, colleagues come in here, they finish with a paper, they throw it all over the floor and leave, rubbish littered all over the studio instead of cleaning it up because they live like pigs, you know what I mean?
Which is not good.
Which is not good at all, and we must have words with them.
But, I mean, I've always been of the belief that if you are coming in, I mean, not so much now that I'm working at night, but when we used to work during the day, I would generally wear a jacket or at least a suit, even if without a tie, just because you might be meeting people later on in the day and you might wish to be ready to do that.
What, in radio?
Yeah.
Not really. The people we meet when we do daytime shows, we generally speaking know they're coming in, and you dress accordingly. For instance,
well, no, but I mean, you know as well as I do, when we were reporters or when you were journalists, you never knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, but in the newspaper world, I always wore a suit.
No, I know, but you never knew during the course of any given day.
I agree.
Whether you might have to go and meet somebody for lunch, or you might have to go and meet somebody who'll do a press conference or something. So you'd always be prepared.
I agree. I told you that time, didn't I? I had to go and meet Chris Everett, but I'd been in Eamon's all night.
Yeah, because you'd been drinking all night.
I'd been drinking all night, fell over, and it was all beer and stains, and people used to smoke in those days, and ash all over my coat, and I was very intoxicated, and I had to go meet her at the Essex House Hotel, Central Park South, for a breakfast time interview, and it didn't work out well.
I had a brief period of my life where I had to go. I used to have to go to work every morning, having not really been home, and I used to buy. There was a Fleet Street.
Where'd you be?
I'd been elsewhere. And where I was quite near Fleet Street. There was a shop in Fleet Street. I used to buy a shirt there every morning.
Yeah, committing adultery you had been, had you?
You put it that way. That's a rather crude way to put it.
But it's rather true way of putting it.
For about 3 or 4 months, I literally bought a new shirt every day to go to
What did you do with the shirt when you took it off at night?
Eh?
What did you do with the shirt when you took it off at night?
What do you mean what I do with it?
Well, if you bought a new one every day for 3 or 4 months, you must have had 100 shirts.
Well, I had a lot of them. They all ended up in the car, but I mean, I would wash them from time to time,
A colleague of ours, who I think is still around, used to literally live at Scratchwood Services and buy a shirt there every morning to come back to work in.
It's not quite the same,
And he wasn't committing adultery.
Right.
He
was
simply...
just a tramp.
He just got as far as Scratchwood Services every night and then passed out with exhaustion, parked in the car park and sort of lived there like a tramp, you're right.
Anyway, listen, let's talk about this video that's out there.
Of course.
Because you can go to 2 Mics TV on YouTube.
Yep. We
will send out the link again. This is something that you can be happy about tonight after your miserable failure in the Abba quiz. You won something tonight, didn't you? Tell them what you won, Michael.
Well, I think I could be able to hear a bit of it just right now.
Oh, really?
Listen.
I presume that was... yeah, all right.
What a jerk! There, you see?
That's you being offensive again, isn't it?
That is. That's me being offensive on the video.
Well, this
your
is
attempt.
after you practiced all day.
I didn't practice.
Pulling a tablecloth at your house to make sure you got it right.
No.
And then you just let me do it for the first time in my entire life.
No, that is.
And I didn't do it very well.
That is the first time I've ever done it. The reason we did it was because I had been researching a book and I came across Gordon Bennett.
Yes.
Gordon Bennett was a newspaper publisher in New York whose favourite trick when he met statesmen and politicians and all that, right, he'd pull the cloth away at the dinner table and leave everything standing there perfectly well. I said, I tell you what, I bet I could do that. And you said, I bet you can't.
Yeah.
I did it.
Well, actually, you couldn't do it that well either.
I did it pretty well.
You did it better than me.
I did it pretty well.
You did it better than me.
And then I said, come on, put your money where your mouth is, fatso, get on with it.
I never said I could do it.
Well, it doesn't matter, you had a go at it. With disastrous consequences, people.
Pathetic
Utterly
sort of
disastrous.
Disastrous
consequences.
Anyway, what do you want to be quizzed on next week?
I'm not prepared to answer that
How
now.
about cephology?
No, I do think the principle of the quiz is it's been corrupted.
Most people
it's been corrupted by your behaviour.
Most people who are tweeting tonight
corrupted
say,
by your behaviour.
Actually, the quiz this week was very fair.
Oh,
and
no,
actually, the questions were pretty much straightforward if you're an Abba fan.
You will find
You got wrong the number of album sales they had.
No, I didn't.
You got a couple.
I didn't. I was thinking aloud.
You got it wrong by.
I had
by 350 million.
I had the figure 3.5 in my head, and I knew it was 350 million. For some unknown reason, my tongue just sort of.
You know what that tells me?
Lipped out.
That tells me that you were peeking at the answers.
No, I wasn't.
I think you might have been.
Where are the answers? I don't even know where the answers are.
Well, because they're always liberally around the office.
Rubbish.
I think you'd be peeking at the answers.
Rubbish. And peeking, by the way, is an American word. We don't use peeking in this country.
What about Peaky Blinders?
Peaky Blinders is about the peak of a cap.
Oh, yeah.
It's not about peeking in through the window.
You've never written a story with the word peeking in it?
No, I don't. It's an American word.
What do you call somebody whose sports performance is at the very top?
That's at a peak.
No,
but peaking is looking... And peak means at the summit.
What did you used to call Beijing?
Beijing I used to call Peking.
Peking?
Yes.
So there you go. So you're telling me you don't use the word?
That was named after a duck, the Peking duck.
Was it?
Yes. That's why. What are you laughing at? That's why.
I don't think Peking was named after the duck.
I think it was. I think you'll
No,
find.
I think it was the other way round.
No, it's not. Honestly, the elders of the Chinese dynasties that go right back to the Ming and all that.
The Ming.
The old,
Absolute compliments.
The Ming dynasty.
The Ming dynasty, yeah.
They set up camp on a marshy plain where the old Peking duck lived.
Really?
That's why it was called Peking.
It's an amazing thing, the Peking duck. Doesn't look anything like a duck, does it?
Well,
Tastes like a duck.
It doesn't when it's in a little sort of wooden box in front of you on a table in a Chinese restaurant, obviously.
Unbelievable. Next time, we're going to talk about a much more interesting thing about premium sparkling wines, which are growing steadily in sales, apparently. So I don't know if you're planning to have any tomorrow for Valentine's Day. You'll be sitting all on your own, won't you? Nursing your wrath.
No, not at all. By the way, I'll have a whole new band of supporters by Valentine's Day on Saturday because
you'll meet them all at this opening. Well, it'll be the usual Porky Perry experience. At 7 o'clock, they'll all love you, and by 9 o'clock, when they're chucking you out for being loud and vociferous and nasty, that'll be the end of it.
I happen to know the commander of the local police station.
Commander.
Yeah, the commander has decided.
Well, if you find a police station open after 5 o'clock, good luck.
Has decided on extra security because of the threat of groupies descending on the premises.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, if you get a couple of thousand people down there, it'll be a right laugh. It'll be on the news. Mr. Porky Perry will be opening a pub, not for the first time, later on tonight.
The Old Bank.
It is, of course, Friday the 13th. Have a very happy Valentine's Day, Mr. Parry. I'll look forward to receiving something from you in the post.
Look at the light!
Don't forget to follow the Two Mics, at the Two Mics on Twitter and on YouTube. Just look for Two Mics TV.
Your despicable values.
What was the most romantic thing you ever did on Valentine's Day?
I put a love notice in the Times. What are you laughing at?
Why?
Because I felt it was right.
You put a love notice in the Times?
I did.
And what did it say?
I can't tell you that because it was intimate.
Can't give you any clues, obviously.
I think somebody's British, and in those days... Now, Cliff Richard won it. Lulu won it. Hang on, let me think. Could have been Lulu, could have been... Oh, I know who it might have been. Save all your kisses for me. Oh, no. It could be the one where they whip the skirts off.
I'll have to hurry you.
So that was...
I can't help
Making Your Mind Up. Yeah, it would be that one. Making Your Mind Up.
And who sang it?
It was sung by...
I can't give you any clues.
No, hang on. And Cheryl Baker was in the group.
She was.
Cheryl Baker, Making Your Mind Up.
Come on.
Well, that's it. I've got it. It's Cheryl Baker.
Give me the title. You've got the name of the band as well.
I've given you the name of the song, Making Your Mind Up.
Think of Champagne.
It was Bucks Fizz.
Yeah.
Hey.
Incorrect.
Oh, you idiots. I mean, that is fun.
That was fantastic.